Let me start with a brutal truth. Most women never hear. When a man first sees you, he doesn't see your soul. He sees your body. He doesn't feel connection. He feels chemistry. And if you confuse that spark for something deep, you could end up loving someone who was never emotionally available to begin with. In the first few moments of attraction, many men are not thinking about compatibility, future, or love. They're caught in what I call the visual trap, a primal reaction based on physical desire. It's not evil, it's not intentional, it's biology. But here's the twist. What happens next separates lust from lasting love. This video will pull back the curtain on something no one is saying out loud. Most men do not fall in love with their hearts first. They fall with their eyes. And that gap between visual attraction and emotional investment, that's where most relationships get lost. If you've ever felt confused after a man pursued you hard only to vanish the moment things got intimate, this video will make everything click. It's not your fault. You didn't do anything wrong, but you do need to understand the inner timing of the masculine mind. Because until you know how men emotionally attach, you'll keep giving your heart to someone who only showed up for your body. Stay with me, because once you understand why men lust first and how to tell when love is actually forming, you'll never fall into the same emotional trap again. Let's begin. Most women grow up learning that love and desire are tightly connected. That when someone wants you physically, it's a sign of deeper feelings starting to form. But for many men, especially early in a connection, desire and emotion live in two completely different compartments. And unless you understand that split, you're going to read his signals wrong and get hurt in the process. When a man feels physical attraction, it's instant, reactive, and overwhelming. His biology is wired to respond to visual cues. Your smile, your walk, your body language. That intense desire creates a rush, a temporary high that drives pursuit. But here's the part no one tells you, that desire can be completely separate from any genuine emotional investment. A man can chase you, compliment you, make plans with you, and even treat you like a queen. Not because he loves you yet, but because the chase itself is thrilling. It's in that early stage where so many women get emotionally invested thinking, he must really like me, when in reality, he's still only operating from a place of attraction and curiosity. Desire is quick, emotion is slow, and men often need time, shared experiences, and emotional safety before their hearts even begin to engage. This is why so many women feel a sudden emotional disconnect after being physically intimate. It's not that the man was lying, it's that he hadn't built an emotional connection yet. He was never in love to begin with. And the worst part, you might have been. Now, this doesn't mean men are incapable of deep love. Far from it. But for many men, love comes after trust, respect, and shared vulnerability. Those are not triggered by looks or sex. They're built in the quiet in-between moments. Men don't always realize they're emotionally attaching until they're already in it. It creeps up slowly, subtly while you're cooking together, laughing over something stupid, or during those quiet nights when you're just there fully present. The challenge is that women often equate consistency of attention with depth of emotion. If he's texting daily, calling, making time, he must be emotionally invested, right? But many men can maintain those behaviors from a place of routine, convenience, or even guilt, not necessarily love. That's why it's so important to slow the pace. You need time to see whether his desire has the potential to evolve into something deeper. And this brings us to a critical point. Men are not emotionally unavailable. They are emotionally delayed. The timeline is different. What you feel after 3 dates you may not feel until months in. If you try to force emotion to show up before it's real, you'll mistake desire for devotion. And that's where heartbreak begins. To protect your heart, you need to observe more than you emotionally invest. Watch how he shows up when he's not trying to impress you. Pay attention to whether he's curious about your mind, not just your body. That's where the truth hides. And once you know how to read it, you'll never confuse desire for love again. Lust isn't just a feeling, it's a chemical reaction. When a man feels intense attraction toward a woman, his brain is flooded with a surge of chemicals that completely alter how he sees and experiences her. In fact, lust can be so powerful that it blinds a man's ability to see the actual person in front of him. He's not connecting with your values, your depth, or your dreams. He's responding to a neurochemical cocktail that tells him, I want her and I want her now. When lust is triggered, the brain releases dopamine, the same neurotransmitter responsible for addiction. This is why a man in the lust phase can seem obsessed. He may pursue you relentlessly, message you constantly, and make you feel like you're the only woman in the world. But what you're actually witnessing is his brain chasing a high. That high comes from anticipation, not emotional attachment. Testosterone also spikes during this phase, which increases physical desire, competitiveness, and risk-taking. Suddenly he's more assertive, more charming, more intense because his body is wired to go after what it wants. But here's the catch. Lust is designed by nature to burn fast, not last long. It's meant to initiate the connection, not sustain it. Without an emotional foundation forming beneath it, the fire fades, and with it, so does the man's interest. For women, often increases emotional bonding due to a surge in oxytocin, known as the love hormone. But for many men, oxytocin is overshadowed by dopamine and testosterone in the early stages. So while a woman may feel more emotionally connected after intimacy, a man may simply feel satisfied, distracted, or even emotionally distant. This creates a painful disconnect. One person feels closer, the other feels done. This is why rushing physical intimacy can be emotionally dangerous for women who bond quickly. Because you're not just sharing your body, you're sharing brain chemistry. And while your body is sending signals of attachment, his body may still be operating from a place of primal drive. It doesn't mean he's a bad guy. It just means his emotional software hasn't caught up yet. Understanding this gap in chemistry can help you avoid one of the most common emotional traps. Thinking his intensity means emotional depth. It doesn't. A man in lust will say things that sound like love, but are really desire in disguise. He may believe them in the moment, but moments pass, and chemistry fades if there's nothing deeper to sustain it. That's why it's crucial to look beyond how a man acts when he's turned on and pay close attention to how he behaves when he's not seeking anything. Does he show care? Is he present? Is he consistent when there's no reward? This is one of the most confusing and painful experiences women face in modern dating. A man pursues you, gives you attention, makes you feel desired and special, and then after you become intimate, he starts pulling away. His texts slow down. The energy changes. He becomes distant, or worse, he disappears completely, and you're left wondering, what did I do wrong? The truth, it's not always about what you did. It's about how he processes intimacy and, more importantly, what that intimacy meant to him in the first place. For many men, especially emotionally unready ones, intimacy is the goal, not a milestone in a growing connection. That physical moment is the finish line, not the beginning. And because men are biologically wired to pursue what they desire, once they achieve that desire, their brain may shift from craving to contentment. And that shift can feel sudden and cold. This isn't always conscious. Most men don't plan to disappear. But once that intense dopamine rush has worn off, the chase, the flirting, the mystery, the buildup, the chemical reward is gone. If there wasn't any real emotional bond forming beneath the surface, then he doesn't feel the need to stay. What kept him engaged was the pursuit, not the person. And here's something even more important to understand. Physical intimacy can actually trigger emotional avoidance in men who fear closeness. These are men who crave connection but panic when they start to feel vulnerable. The act of being physically close, especially if it was meaningful for you, can expose them to an emotional depth they're not ready to face. So instead of leaning in, they retreat, they ghost, they make excuses, they create distance to regain control. It's not about you being too much. It's about them not being equipped to meet you at the emotional level you're ready for. And let's not ignore another hard truth. Some men are simply opportunists. They present themselves as emotionally available, mirror your desires, say all the right things just to get what they want. Once they get it, their true intentions surface. This isn't about chemistry or fear of closeness. It's about deception. And unfortunately, a lot of women blame themselves for a man's disappearing act, when it was never about love to begin with. It was a performance. This is why slowing down matters. It's not about playing games. It's about giving time for the truth to reveal itself. The longer you wait, the more his real intentions start to surface. A man who is emotionally aligned with you will not disappear after intimacy. He'll show more care, more presence, and more emotional consistency. He won't be confused. He won't get weird. He won't run. If he disappears, let him. That's your answer. The disappearing act is the closure. Don't chase clarity from someone who showed you through his actions that he wasn't ready or willing to build something real. Protect your heart by letting his absence speak louder than your desire to understand it. And if you've been through this, please know it's not a reflection of your worth. You are not too emotional, too deep, or too much. You were simply dealing with someone who wasn't ready for the level of love you were offering. Let that be his burden, not your shame. Because real men, emotionally grounded, relationship-ready men don't disappear after they get close. They lean in. They ask questions. They want to understand you, grow with you, and support you. Intimacy deepens their interest instead of ending it. So the next time someone walks away after getting what they want, don't take it as a loss. Take it as a filter. That moment revealed who he truly was. And in that revelation, you are one step closer to someone who won't disappear. But it's easy to get caught up in the attention, the affection, and the excitement of someone new. But if you're not careful, you can fall hard for a man who was never in it for love. He was in it for the thrill, the convenience, or the validation. The key is to recognize the warning signs before you become emotionally attached. Because men who aren't in it for love will often behave like they are until they no longer have. The first red flag is inconsistency. He may come on strong in the beginning, texting constantly, complimenting you, even making plans. But his effort comes in waves. One week he's all in, the next he's distant or distracted. You never quite know where you stand, and you're always left guessing. That inconsistency isn't random. It's often a sign he's keeping his options open, or only showing up when it suits him. Another warning sign is surface-level connection. If your conversations revolve mostly around flirting, appearance, or playful banter, but rarely dive into your values, dreams, fears, or emotional needs, then he's likely not investing emotionally. A man who's in it for love wants to know you. He's curious about your mind, not just your body. If it always stays shallow, so does his attention. Also, pay attention to how he responds to your boundaries. A man who truly respects you will not push you, guilt you, or make you feel bad for setting emotional or physical limits. But a man who's only interested in what he can get will challenge those boundaries in subtle ways. He'll act disappointed. He'll withdraw affection. He might even question your intentions, trying to make you feel like the problem. That emotional manipulation is not love, it's control. And then there's his language. Listen carefully to the way he talks about relationships. If he's vague, non-committal, or uses phrases like, "Let's just see what happens," "I'm just going with the flow," or "I'm not ready for anything serious," leave him. Don't wait around, hoping he'll change his mind. Those are not just casual comments. They are preemptive disclaimers. He's telling you up front, don't expect too much. And when someone tells you they're not ready, the worst thing you can do is try to prove you're worth staying for. Another key sign, you feel anxious more than secure. When you're with someone who genuinely loves you, there's a sense of peace, even in uncertainty. But if you constantly feel like you're trying to decode his words, wondering if you're being too much, or walking on eggshells to keep his interest, that's your intuition trying to speak. Love doesn't keep you in a state of emotional confusion. Lust does, manipulation does, but love feels grounded. Men who are not in it for love will also show you where their priorities are. If he only makes time for you late at night, avoids planning ahead, or keeps you away from the deeper parts of his life, like his friends, family, or goals, he's compartmentalizing you. You're a convenience, not a commitment. And the more you excuse that behavior, the more you teach him he doesn't need to give more to keep access to you. Ultimately, you don't need to wait for a man to leave to know he's not in it for love. The signs are always there. You just have to be brave enough to read them. Love doesn't leave you wondering. It doesn't make you feel like you're not enough. If he's not in it with full presence, full honesty, and full respect, he's not in it at all. Lust is where many connections begin, but love is where they're meant to grow. And while it's true that many men start with physical attraction, lust can evolve if the right emotional conditions are present. The challenge is knowing when that shift is actually happening, and when it's just more of the same surface-level desire, dressed up to look deeper. So how do you know when lust begins to turn into something real? It starts with emotional curiosity. A man in lust wants your body. A man beginning to love you wants your world. He starts asking questions that go beyond how your day was. He wants to know what you're afraid of, what keeps you up at night, what drives you. He listens not just to respond, but to understand. He starts paying attention to the little things, not just what's attractive, but what's real. How you react when you're stressed, how you speak about your past, how you handle your emotions. That shift in attention is not random. It's the beginning of emotional investment. Next, you'll notice that the urgency fades, and in its place there's patience. Lust is impatient. It wants now. It wants quick. It thrives on intensity. But love is slower. It doesn't rush you into intimacy, or try to accelerate the relationship to feed the high. A man whose lust is maturing into emotion will create space for you to feel safe, not pressured. He's no longer chasing the thrill. He's building trust, Another sign is presence without performance. In the early lust phase, a man may act extra charming, intense, and even exaggerated in his pursuit. But when lust turns into real feeling, that performance drops. He becomes more grounded, more consistent. He shows up for you even when it's inconvenient. He's emotionally available when you're upset, not just when you're fun or sexy. He no longer needs everything to be perfect to want to be around you. Also, love invites vulnerability. When a man starts sharing parts of himself that are less polished, his fears, his past mistakes, his uncertainties, it's a powerful indicator that you've moved beyond surface-level desire. Lust protects ego. Love allows exposure. He's no longer afraid of how you'll see him. He wants you to know him. That level of emotional openness doesn't happen when someone is just looking to satisfy desire. It happens when someone feels safe, connected, and emotionally drawn to who you are. You'll also notice that your value to him expands. You're no longer just the woman he finds attractive. You're the woman he respects. He includes you in decisions. He seeks your opinions. He starts seeing your presence as a part of his future, not just his present. He stops treating you like a temporary escape and starts treating you like a priority. But perhaps the clearest sign that lust is turning into real emotion is this. He's not afraid of slowing down. When a man begins to genuinely care for you, he starts guarding the connection. He doesn't want to ruin it by rushing. He's more intentional. He's aware that your heart is in his hands, and he holds it more carefully. That kind of man doesn't disappear after closeness. He deepens it. He doesn't panic when things get real. He leans in, and here's what's beautiful. Love born from lust doesn't have to be shallow. It can evolve into something incredibly deep and enduring, but only when both people are emotionally available, honest, and willing to build slowly. So yes, lust can become love, but only when it's met with patience, emotional safety, and a man who's ready to feel, not just react. That's when the fire turns into warmth. That's when desire becomes devotion. When a man is emotionally mature, it shows not just in what he says, but in how he moves through the relationship. You don't have to second guess him, decode his mixed signals, or constantly wonder where you stand. Emotionally mature men bring clarity, not confusion. And once you know what to look for, it becomes easier to stop settling for potential and start recognizing real presence. Emotionally mature men speak with intention. They don't hide behind vague words or play games to keep you guessing. Instead, they're clear, even if what they're saying isn't perfect. You'll hear things like, "I really enjoy spending time with you and want to see where this can go," or "I'm looking for something real, not just a fling." They communicate desires and boundaries early, not to impress you, but to respect you. They aren't afraid to express emotion, even if it's uncomfortable, because they understand that healthy communication builds trust. You'll also notice that their actions match their words. An emotionally mature man doesn't say, "I miss you," and then disappear for a week. He doesn't make promises he can't keep. He doesn't future fake to keep you emotionally hooked. Instead, if he says he'll call, he calls. If he tells you he wants to see you, he makes time. He follows through, not because he's trying to win points, but because he understands that consistency is a form of care. Another powerful sign is how he handles conflict. Immature men either shut down, get defensive, or flip the script to avoid accountability. But emotionally mature men know that disagreements are part of real intimacy. So instead of making you feel like you're too much for bringing up concerns, they lean in. They'll say things like, "Let's talk about it," or "I didn't realize that bothered you. Help me understand." They aren't interested in being right. They're interested in getting it right with you. Emotionally mature men also take responsibility for their emotional baggage. They don't blame exes for every past breakup, avoid talking about their triggers, or act like victims of every situation. Instead, they've done the work. They know where they struggle, and they're honest about it. You'll hear them say things like, "I used to avoid vulnerability, but I'm working on showing up more," or "I've made mistakes in past relationships, and I've learned from them that self-awareness is rare, but it's also essential for real love." What they don't do is lead with ego. They don't need to dominate the conversation, control the dynamic, or prove their worth by impressing you. Instead, they make space for you to be seen and heard. They ask thoughtful questions. They celebrate your independence. They aren't intimidated by your strength. They're attracted to it. And rather than make you smaller to feel big, they lift you because they're secure in who they are. Even in intimacy, emotionally mature men are attuned. They care about emotional connection, not just physical gratification. They'll check in. They'll ask what makes you feel safe. They'll listen because to them, closeness isn't just about chemistry. It's about trust. But perhaps the biggest sign of emotional maturity is this. You feel safe, not just physically, but emotionally. You're not walking on eggshells. You don't feel like you're too emotional, too honest, or too complicated. You feel accepted, supported, respected. Emotionally mature men are not perfect, but they are present. They take accountability. They communicate openly, and they're not afraid of love. They're prepared for it. So if you're constantly chasing clarity, trying to fix mixed signals, or shrinking yourself to maintain peace, it's not love. It's emotional immaturity. And you deserve more than that. You deserve someone who makes love feel like home, not a war zone attracting love. Not just lust. Starts with understanding your own energy. Because whether you realize it or not, you're always teaching people how to treat you, based on what you accept, what you entertain, and what you believe you deserve. If you keep attracting men who only want one thing, it's time to shift, not just your boundaries, but the frequency you operating on. Lust is easy. It feeds on surface-level attraction, fleeting chemistry, and instant gratification. Love is different. Love wants depth. Love requires intention. And the men who are looking for love pay attention to very different things than the ones just chasing a moment. So if you want to attract love, you have to become magnetic to what's real, not just what's thrilling. It begins with clarity. Know what you want, and don't be afraid to say it. Too many women water down their standards, or stay quiet about their needs, because they're afraid of scaring someone else. But here's the truth. The man who is emotionally ready for love won't be scared by your standards. He'll be drawn to it. Speaking your truth early without apology is how you filter out the ones who are just passing through. Attracting love also requires you to slow down. Lust wants to rush. Love wants to build. A man who is only interested in your body will try to accelerate physical intimacy. But a man who's interested in you will be patient. He'll enjoy getting to know your thoughts, your emotions, your values. So take your time. Build emotional safety first. That's how you separate those who want your essence from those who just want your body. And remember, your energy speaks louder than your words. If you feel desperate for love, you may attract people who feed off that vulnerability. But when you walk in confidence, wholeness, and peace, you create a different vibration. You stop performing to be chosen and start choosing based on how someone shows up. That shift changes everything. It puts you in a place of power, not control, but alignment. Another key to attracting love is healing your past patterns. If you've been hurt, betrayed, or abandoned, it's natural to carry emotional armor. But walls don't just keep pain out. They keep love out too. Emotional availability is a two-way street. If you want someone to show up authentically, you have to do the same. That doesn't mean rushing in with open wounds. It means doing the inner work to make sure you're not mistaking chemistry for compatibility or attention for affection. And above all, don't lose yourself in the process of being loved. The most magnetic version of you is the one who's whole on her own. You're not waiting to be saved. You're not looking to be completed. You're ready to share, not surrender your happiness. That kind of energy doesn't just attract love. It attracts the right kind of love. So if you've ever asked, why do I keep attracting the wrong men? The real question is, what energy am I leading with? When you lead with self-worth, self-awareness, and soul-deep standards, you stop becoming available for temporary attention and start becoming aligned with lasting connection. Because love isn't just something you find, it's something you invite. And the way you invite it is by showing up as the version of you who already knows she deserves it. There comes a point where every woman has to stop asking, why did he leave? And start asking, what did I allow? Not because it's your fault, but because reclaiming your power starts with seeing your patterns clearly. You deserve more than someone who only wants your body. You deserve more than confusing signals and empty words. You deserve a connection that honors your mind, respects your heart, and protects your soul. So here's the truth. Every woman must know. Lust is loud, but love is steady. Lust makes promises. It doesn't keep. It texts at 2 a.m., shows up when it's convenient, and disappears the moment you ask for more. Love, on the other hand, shows up in silence, in the steady call when you're sad, in the plans made with intention, in the way someone chooses you, even when it's not exciting or easy. If you want love, stop giving the loudest voice in the room all your attention. Start watching for the quiet consistency. Another truth. You don't have to prove you're worthy of being loved. You are already enough. Without shrinking, without chasing, without performing, the right man won't need you to beg for clarity or tone yourself down to be easier to love. He'll meet you in your fullness and rise to the level of your energy. Stop giving lifetime access to people who were only meant for a moment. Love is not about being chosen. It's about choosing yourself first, so you can choose wisely. Also remember this. Your intuition is not paranoia. It's protection. If something feels off, it usually is. If you're always anxious around someone, that's not butterflies. It's your nervous system picking up on inconsistency. Don't ignore your inner voice just because someone looks good on paper or says all the right things. Actions will always speak louder. And consistency, that's the language of real love. And maybe most importantly, the way someone treats you is a reflection of how they feel about themselves. An emotionally unavailable man is not your fault. A man who ghosts, lies, or manipulates isn't doing it because you weren't enough. It's because he's not ready to give more. Your job isn't to fix him. It's to protect your peace. Love does not require you to abandon yourself. As women, we've been taught to endure, to wait, to prove. But love isn't found in how much you tolerate. It's found in how firmly you honor your worth. You don't need 100 chances to see if someone would change. You need one moment of clarity to know that you deserve better. So let this be your reminder. You are not too emotional, too intense, or too complicated. You are just asking for something deeper than most people are ready to give. And that's okay. Because the man who is ready, truly ready, will not be scared by your strength. He'll be drawn to it. He'll meet you with the same depth, the same energy, the same heart. And until that day comes, keep loving yourself the way you wish someone else would. Because when you do that, love won't just find you. If you look younger than your age, it means something powerful. It means that time itself has not been able to leave its usual marks on you. While the world measures years and numbers, you have been living in a way that defies those numbers. Think about how many people around you complain about aging, about wrinkles, about energy fading away. And yet here you are, standing as living proof that age is not just about how many years you have been on this earth, but about how you have lived those years. Looking younger than your age is not just a genetic gift. No, it's something deeper. It's a reflection of how you've treated your mind, your body, and your soul. It means that you have either consciously or unconsciously done something right, something that has allowed you to maintain not just a youthful appearance, but a youthful spirit. Looking younger than your age is not just about genetics or lucky DNA. It is a reflection of something much deeper. Your mindset, your energy, and the way you approach life. Have you ever noticed how some people in their 40s or 50s radiate a youthful presence, while others in their 20s seem weighed down by life? The difference isn't just in their skin or hair, it's in their spirit, in their outlook, and the way they carry themselves through the world. Youth is not just a physical condition, it's a state of mind. People who look younger than their age often have something in common. They live with enthusiasm. They wake up with a sense of purpose, are curious about life, eager to learn and excited for what's next. They do not see age as a limitation, but as an opportunity to grow, to evolve, to experience more. They refuse to settle into routines that drain them. They don't just go through the motions of life. They engage with it, challenge themselves, and find new ways to bring excitement into their days. Have you ever met someone who has given up on their dreams, who constantly talks about the past, who sees every new challenge as a burden rather than an opportunity? These are the people who age before their time. They carry an energy of exhaustion, of regret, of defeat. But those who remain young in spirit keep moving forward. They embrace change, refuse to let life turn into a series of monotonous routines, and are willing to reinvent themselves, take risks, and keep growing. Your mindset is the most powerful anti-aging tool you have. When you believe that life is still full of possibilities, your body responds. When you carry hope, excitement, and curiosity, it reflects in your posture, in your eyes, and the way you interact with the world. People who remain open to new experiences naturally carry a youthful energy because they are not weighed down by the past or fearful of the future. They live in the moment, and that presence is magnetic. Negativity and pessimism are some of the fastest ways to age yourself. When you constantly expect the worst, dwell in frustration, or allow resentment to take root in your heart, your body absorbs that energy. Stress lines form on your face, your shoulders hunch, and your energy becomes heavy. But when you choose optimism, when you choose to see the good, to focus on gratitude, to believe that better days are ahead, something incredible happens. You lighten up. You radiate a different energy. People notice it, and it makes you look and feel younger. One of the biggest secrets to youthfulness is keeping your inner child alive. Too many people lose their sense of play, their ability to laugh freely, to find joy in the simple things. They become serious, rigid, overly concerned with rules and expectations. But those who stay young, no matter their age, have learned to hold on to that childlike wonder. They still allow themselves to dream, to imagine, to explore. They are not afraid to look silly, to dance when their favorite song plays, or to find excitement in everyday life. Energy is contagious. When you walk into a room with confidence, when you smile genuinely, when you engage with people in an uplifting way, you create an aura of youthfulness. People are drawn to those who carry positive energy. They may not be able to explain it, but they can feel it. That is why some people can walk into a room and instantly command attention, not because they are the youngest or the most beautiful, but because they carry a presence that is full of life. It is not about denying age or fearing getting older. It is about embracing life fully at every stage. The people who look the youngest are not those who try to erase their years, but those who wear them with pride, who live in a way that makes each year an addition to their wisdom and joy, rather than a subtraction from their vitality. Youth is not lost with age. It is lost with the decision to stop living fully. Those who keep their minds and hearts open, who continue to grow, love, and dream, will always carry a sense of youth with them, no matter how many candles are on their birthday cake. Stress is one of the most powerful forces that accelerate aging, both physically and mentally. It creeps into your life in ways you may not even notice, slowly wearing you down from the inside out. It is not just about the big, overwhelming problems. It is also about the daily pressures, the worries that never seem to end, the constant feeling of being in a rush or under pressure. Over time, stress carves lines into your face, drains the light from your eyes, and steals the energy from your body. People who carry too much stress often look older than their years because stress speeds up the body's natural aging process. It affects your skin, your posture, your mood, and even your overall health. When you live in a state of stress, your body produces high levels of cortisol, the stress hormone. Cortisol is necessary in short bursts to help you deal with challenges, but when it becomes a constant presence, it starts to damage your body. It weakens your immune system, slows down your body's ability to heal, and even breaks down collagen, the protein that keeps your skin firm and youthful. That is why people who experience chronic stress often develop wrinkles, dark circles, and other signs of premature aging much faster than those who live with a sense of peace. Stress does not just affect how you look, it also affects how you feel. It drains your energy, making you feel older and more exhausted than you actually are. You can see the effects of stress in people's faces. Have you ever noticed how someone going through a difficult time suddenly looks much older? Their eyes lose their sparkle, their face appears more tired, and their movements become heavier. It is because stress takes a toll on every part of their being. But on the other hand, have you ever seen someone who has let go of their worries, who radiates a sense of calm and joy? They always look lighter, fresher, and more vibrant. That is because peace has an anti-aging effect. It relaxes your face, softens your features, and allows your natural glow to shine through. Stress does not just come from external pressures, it also comes from the way you think. If you constantly replay past mistakes in your mind, worry about the future, or let small things get under your skin, you are putting your body under unnecessary stress. Your thoughts have a direct impact on your body. Negative thoughts trigger the same stress response as real danger. If you live with a mind full of anxiety, your body is always in a state of fight or flight, even when there is no real threat. This constant tension makes you age faster than you should. But when you learn to shift your thoughts, to focus on what you can control and let go of what you cannot, you begin to create an internal environment that promotes youthfulness instead of decay. One of the best ways to combat the aging effects of stress is to practice relaxation, taking time to breathe deeply, to slow down, to do things that bring you joy. All of these are powerful ways to reverse stress and its impact on your body. People who make time for laughter, for gratitude, for meaningful conversations, and for activities that nourish their soul always look younger than those who are constantly overwhelmed. There is a reason why people who meditate, who practice mindfulness, or who simply live in a state of gratitude often have a calm, youthful energy about them. They have trained their minds and bodies to operate in a state of peace rather than panic. Another way stress ages you is by affecting your sleep. When your mind is filled with worries, your sleep suffers. You toss and turn, wake up feeling drained, and over time your body struggles to recover. Lack of quality sleep leads to dull skin, dark circles, and an overall tired appearance. Sleep is the body's natural way of repairing itself, and when stress interrupts that process, it accelerates aging. That is why people who prioritize good sleep habits always look more refreshed and youthful. The people who look the youngest are not those who never face challenges. They are the ones who have learned how to manage them without letting stress consume them. They have discovered the power of letting go, of choosing peace over panic, of focusing on what truly matters rather than being caught up in endless worries. They protect their energy, set boundaries, and surround themselves with positive influences. They understand that stress will always be a part of life, but how they respond to it determines whether they age faster or remain youthful and vibrant. Joy and gratitude are powerful forces that shape not only your emotions, but also your physical appearance. People who focus on happiness and appreciation for life tend to carry a glow that makes them look younger than their actual age. This is not a coincidence. It is a reflection of how the mind and body are connected. When you embrace joy, when you choose to see life through a lens of gratitude rather than negativity, your body responds in ways that enhance your youthfulness. There is a noticeable difference between someone who moves through life with a heart full of appreciation and someone who carries bitterness and dissatisfaction. Have you ever seen someone who always complains, always finds something wrong, and never seems satisfied with anything? Their face often reflects the stress and tension they carry. Their expressions are heavy, their energy is draining, and their presence feels weighed down. Now think of someone who radiates joy. Their eyes sparkle, their smile is genuine, and there is something about them that makes them seem lighter and more vibrant. This difference is not just about genetics or lifestyle choices. It is about their inner world, the thoughts they cultivate, and the emotions they choose to focus on. Science has proven that positive emotions have a direct impact on the aging process. When you experience joy, your body releases endorphins, serotonin, and dopamine, natural chemicals that reduce stress, improve mood, and create a sense of well-being. These chemicals help lower cortisol levels, which in turn slows down the aging process. Gratitude works in a similar way. When you focus on what you have instead of what you lack, when you take time to appreciate the small moments in life, your body experiences less stress, your heart rate slows down, your muscles relax, and your face softens. These subtle but powerful changes contribute to a more youthful and radiant appearance. Laughter is one of the most underrated anti-aging secrets. It not only lifts your mood, but also stimulates blood circulation, improves oxygen flow, and reduces physical tension. Have you ever noticed that people who laugh often seem to have a youthful energy about them? Their faces do not carry the tightness of stress. Their expressions remain open and relaxed. Laughter also helps prevent the formation of deep stress lines on the face. While some people worry about wrinkles from smiling, the reality is that frown lines, worry lines, and tension lines age the face much faster. A life filled with laughter is a life filled with moments that keep you young no matter how many years pass. Gratitude is another key to maintaining a youthful spirit and appearance. When you focus on the blessings in your life, you create a mental and emotional environment that promotes peace and contentment. Stress, frustration, and negativity take a toll on your body, but gratitude reverses those effects. People who practice gratitude regularly tend to have lower levels of inflammation, stronger immune systems, and better overall health. When you appreciate the present moment, when you take time to recognize the good around you, your mind shifts away from stress and anxiety. This not only makes you feel lighter, but also gives you a more radiant, youthful presence. People who look younger than their age often have an approach to life that is rooted in joy rather than obligation. They do not just go through life fulfilling responsibilities and worrying about things they cannot control. They actively seek out experiences that bring them happiness. They spend time with people who uplift them, engage in activities that make them feel alive, and refuse to dwell on negativity. This does not mean they ignore challenges or difficulties, but they choose to approach them with a sense of hope rather than despair. There is also a strong connection between gratitude and resilience. People who are grateful for what they have tend to recover from hardships more quickly. They do not allow difficulties to break their spirit or age them prematurely. Instead, they find ways to grow, to learn, and to continue moving forward with optimism. This inner strength reflects outwardly, making them appear more vibrant and full of life. Their energy remains high, their enthusiasm for life does not fade, and they maintain a youthful outlook that keeps them looking and feeling young. Joy and gratitude are choices that anyone can make. They are not dependent on external circumstances, but on the way you choose to see the world. When you prioritize happiness, when you cultivate an attitude of appreciation, your body responds by preserving your youthfulness. This is why the people who laugh often, who embrace life with open hearts, who find reasons to be grateful every day, always seem to defy their age. Their secret is not found in expensive products or treatments. It is found in the way they choose to live, in the emotions they nurture, and in the joy they allow themselves to experience. Your appearance is not just shaped by time or genetics. It is shaped by the choices you make every single day. How you look, how you feel, and the energy you carry are all influenced by the food you eat, the people you surround yourself with, the thoughts you entertain, and the way you treat your body and mind. Looking younger than your age is not just about good luck. It is a reflection of the decisions you make, the habits you build, and the way you choose to live your life. Food plays a crucial role in how youthful or aged you appear. Every bite you take is either feeding your body with nourishment or slowly breaking it down. People who eat fresh, nutrient-rich foods, drink plenty of water, and avoid excessive processed foods often have clearer skin, brighter eyes, and more energy. On the other hand, those who rely on sugary drinks, unhealthy snacks, and excessive amounts of junk food often experience faster aging. Their skin loses its elasticity, their energy levels drop, and their overall vitality diminishes. The saying, "you are what you eat," is more accurate than most people realize. When you fuel your body with the right nutrients, it rewards you with a youthful glow and sustained energy. The people you surround yourself with also play a massive role in how you age. Negative, toxic, and draining relationships can weigh you down, increase stress, and make you feel older than you really are. Being around people who constantly complain, criticize, or drain your energy affects not just your emotions, but also your physical health. Stress hormones increase, your mood declines, and over time, this negativity starts to reflect on your face, your posture, and your overall presence. On the other hand, when you surround yourself with uplifting, positive, and encouraging people, you naturally feel lighter, happier, and more vibrant. Their energy influences yours, and you carry yourself with a different kind of confidence that radiates youthfulness. Your thoughts are another major factor in how you look and feel. The mind and body are deeply connected, and whatever you consistently think about will manifest in your appearance. If your mind is constantly filled with self-doubt, worry, and negativity, it will show in the way you carry yourself. Your facial expressions will be tense, your body language will be closed off, and your energy will feel heavy. But when you fill your mind with uplifting thoughts, with self-belief, with gratitude, and with excitement for life, that energy reflects outward. Your face relaxes, your smile comes more naturally, and people are drawn to your presence because you radiate confidence and joy. Exercise and movement are also key factors in maintaining a youthful appearance. A body in motion stays youthful, while a body that remains stagnant starts to decline faster. People who stay active, whether through walking, stretching, strength training, or any other form of movement, tend to have better posture, more flexibility, and a more energetic presence. Movement improves circulation, which brings oxygen and nutrients to your skin, keeping it healthy and vibrant. It also releases endorphins, which naturally boost your mood and make you feel more alive. On the other hand, a sedentary lifestyle weakens muscles, slows down metabolism, and contributes to premature aging. The difference between someone who remains physically active and someone who leads an inactive life is visible not just in their body, but also in their overall energy and expression. Your daily habits, no matter how small, add up over time. Skipping sleep, spending hours stressed out, holding on to grudges, consuming negative content, or neglecting self-care all take a toll on how you age. But when you prioritize rest, nourish your mind with positive information, let go of stress, forgive easily, and take care of yourself, You create an environment within your body that supports youthfulness. It is the small daily choices that determine whether you look older or younger than your age. Those who consistently choose health, happiness, and self-care naturally maintain a more vibrant appearance, while those who neglect these areas often find themselves aging faster than they expected. The energy you carry is one of the biggest indicators of your age. Some people, despite being young, seem weighed down by life. Others, even in their later years, radiate a presence that feels light, playful, and full of life. This is because age is not just a number, it is an energy. The way you think, the way you move, the way you interact with the world all contribute to whether you appear youthful or aged. When you choose to live with enthusiasm, to stay curious, to seek joy, and to take care of yourself in every way possible, your body responds with vitality. The choices you make today will determine how young or old you look in the years to come. Sleep is one of the most underrated secrets to maintaining a youthful appearance. It is not just about resting your body. It is about giving your cells the time they need to repair, restore, and regenerate. When you consistently get quality sleep, your body works in ways that keep you looking fresh, vibrant, and full of life. But when sleep is neglected, the opposite happens. Your skin looks dull, dark circles form under your eyes, and your body struggles to function at its best. The way you sleep, how deeply you rest, and the routines you follow before bed all play a role in determining how youthful you appear. During sleep, your body goes through a natural healing process. Cells repair themselves, the skin regenerates, and stress levels decrease. One of the key hormones responsible for keeping you looking young, human growth hormone, is released primarily during deep sleep. This hormone plays a critical role in maintaining skin elasticity, muscle tone, and overall energy levels. When you do not get enough sleep, the production of this hormone decreases, leading to premature aging. Your skin begins to lose its firmness.
You didn't stumble into that relationship by accident. You didn't just happen to cross paths with a narcissist. No, you were placed there. And today, I'm going to tell you exactly why. Now, I know how that sounds. You're probably thinking, why me? Why did I have to go through that pain, that manipulation, that soul-crushing confusion? But what if I told you that there's a reason behind it? That there's a truth so powerful, so life-altering, that once you hear it, you'll never look at that experience the same way again. You see, most people focus on the narcissist, on their behavior, their lies, but this isn't about them anymore. This is about you. And the reason you were placed in that storm is the same reason you're about to rise from it, stronger, louder, and more unshakable than ever before. So buckle up, because the truth will shock you. There's a moment in life, maybe you missed it, that changes everything. It's the moment when you slowly start forgetting who you are. It doesn't happen all at once. It's subtle. You start putting others first a little too often. You shrink yourself to keep the peace. You stop trusting your gut. You second guess your needs, your feelings, your worth. You tell yourself it's fine, that you're being nice, that this is love, but really what's happening is the slow erosion of self. You've been conditioned, maybe by your past, maybe by childhood, maybe by a culture that tells you being likable matters more than being honest, to believe that being good means being quiet, being agreeable, being small. And that's exactly when they walk in. The narcissist sees you long before you see them, not because you're weak, but because you're open, you're giving, you're willing to carry more than your share. And that's what makes you magnetic to someone who wants power. A narcissist doesn't look for people they can destroy. They look for people who don't know how powerful they already are, because those people won't fight back. Not at first. Those people will rationalize the manipulation, excuse the gaslighting, twist themselves into knots trying to be enough. They'll hand over their intuition, their confidence, and their voice, because somewhere along the line they learned that love is something you earn. And narcissists, they feed on that. You see, they didn't choose you at random. They chose you because you were ripe for the lesson. And that lesson was, it's time to come home to yourself. The narcissist's role in your story was never to love you. It was to mirror everything inside of you that still needed healing. That fear of abandonment, that belief that you're only valuable if you're needed, That discomfort with setting boundaries, they saw it, and whether consciously or not, they used it. Not because you deserved it, but because there's a version of you waiting on the other side of this that doesn't tolerate crumbs anymore. That version of you, they're bold. They speak up. They don't over-explain, apologize for existing, or trade their peace for approval. But you couldn't become that person without first realizing how far you drifted. The narcissist was a wake-up call, not a curse. Yep. And I know that sounds outrageous, especially when you're still licking your wounds, still questioning your sanity. But you've got to hear this. The moment you started giving your power away, the universe sent someone to show you what that would cost. And it hurt like hell. But that pain wasn't random. It was a spotlight, a siren, a push. You didn't get into this dynamic because you're broken. You got in because you're wired to love deeply, to give, to heal. But that same wiring becomes your weakness when it's not balanced by self-respect. And that's what this experience was designed to teach you. Because when you finally remember who you are, when you finally feel your own strength again, everything changes. You stop chasing people who breadcrumb you. You stop tolerating emotional gymnastics. You stop performing for love. Instead, you start attracting people who match your energy, not exploit it. You raise your standards, you get clear, you reclaim every piece of yourself you once handed over just to feel accepted. And that shift, it doesn't just change your relationships, it changes your life. We don't like to talk about wounds. We like to pretend they're not there. We bury them. We cover them with accomplishments, perfectionism, people-pleasing. We stay busy. We say we're fine, but deep down, there's this ache, this unspoken fear that something about us isn't enough. And that wound, that's where the narcissist found you. They didn't create the wound. Let's get that straight. That pain was already there. Maybe it came from a parent who withheld love unless you performed. Maybe it came from years of being overlooked, misunderstood, or told that your emotions were too much. Maybe it came from trauma or neglect or the constant pressure to be everything for everyone. Wherever it came from, it left a space inside you that was craving something. Validation, attention, love, safety. And narcissists, they know how to mimic those things. At first, they find the wound and they study it. They feed it just enough to keep you hooked. They say the right things, mirror your dreams, make you feel like they finally see you. It feels intoxicating because it's hitting the very place inside you that's been hungry for so long. But that attention isn't nourishment, it's bait. And when the mask drops, and it always does, you're left confused, questioning everything. You wonder if it's your fault. You wonder what you did wrong. You think maybe if you try harder, fix yourself, love them more, it'll go back to how it was in the beginning. That cycle, it's not about love. It's about power, and the narcissist uses your wound to gain it, but here's the twist. What they didn't realize is that in exploiting your pain, they exposed it. They dragged it into the light, and that's when everything starts to change for you. Because you can't heal what you don't see. You can't fix what you're pretending doesn't exist. That relationship forced you to confront the very part of yourself that you've been avoiding, the one that feels unworthy, the one that doesn't trust, the one that settles. And yes, it's brutal, it's messy, but it's also necessary because the same wound that let them in is the same wound that's going to lead you out. This is where the growth happens. This is where the transformation begins. You start asking different questions. You stop trying to change them and start focusing on healing you. You set boundaries, not to push people away, but to protect the version of you that's finally learning how to stand tall. You stop performing. You stop chasing. You stop tolerating half-love and emotional chaos. You begin to see that your worth was never up for negotiation and definitely never dependent on someone else's ability to recognize it. And listen, this is hard work. Healing isn't glamorous. It's not all bath bombs and journaling. It's crying in the car. It's cutting ties. It's sitting with pain instead of numbing it. But it's also freedom. Real, deep, unapologetic freedom. Because when you finally face that wound, You stop bleeding from people who never deserved your sacrifice. You reclaim your story. You stop being ashamed of the hurt and start seeing it for what it was, a teacher. That narcissist may have triggered the pain, but they didn't define you. What defines you is what you do with it. And every time you choose yourself, every time you say no to dysfunction, every time you stop explaining your worth, you're rewriting the narrative. You're showing that the wound didn't win. You did. Some people are born into love that feels safe. Others are born into survival. If you were placed in a narcissist's life, or they were placed in yours, chances are you already knew dysfunction before they ever showed up. You just didn't call it that. You called it normal. You called it love. You called it just the way things are. So when the narcissist came along, you didn't recognize the red flags as red. You saw them as familiar. And familiarity is dangerous when your blueprint for connection is rooted in pain. That's why you stayed longer than you should have. That's why you rationalized behavior that made your gut twist. That's why you ignored the whisper inside you that kept saying, this isn't right. It's not because you're weak. It's because somewhere deep inside, your nervous system was trained to find chaos comforting. But here's the thing, your soul wasn't. Your soul knew. That's why it ached. That's why it eventually started to scream louder than your conditioning. Because your soul didn't come here to repeat cycles. It came here to break them. And that's why the narcissist entered your life. Not as punishment, but as a catalyst. They forced the truth to the surface. They exposed the patterns you couldn't see. They brought to light the parts of you that were still living in survival mode. And in doing so, they gave you a choice. Keep repeating what you've always known or rise into what you truly deserve. You were chosen for this work, not because it's fair or easy, but because you have the strength to stop what's been passed down for generations. You were placed in that dynamic so you could see with undeniable clarity what needs to end with you. The emotional manipulation, the silent treatment, the walking on eggshells, the fear of being too much or not enough. That stops now. Not just for you, but for everyone who comes after you. Because when you decide to heal, you don't just heal yourself. You rewrite the entire story for your bloodline. It's messy work. It means grieving what you never got. It means reparenting yourself piece by piece. It means saying no to people you once would have bent over backwards for. It means watching people fall away when they realize you won't tolerate dysfunction anymore. It means being alone, sometimes painfully so, while you rebuild from the ground up. But in that rebuilding, you find the real you, the version of you who doesn't chase love. They choose it. Who doesn't confuse intensity for intimacy, who doesn't ignore red flags in the name of potential. Breaking the cycle is about becoming conscious. It's about no longer accepting crumbs just because you were raised to believe a full meal was too much to ask for. It's about realizing that just because someone wants you doesn't mean they're good for you. It's about understanding that love without respect, without empathy, without accountability isn't love at all. And here's what's wild. Once you break that cycle, the world starts looking different. You start noticing the way people speak to you, the way they show up or don't. You start trusting yourself in a way you never have before. Your intuition sharpens, your standards rise, your peace becomes sacred. And suddenly, the same patterns that once kept you trapped don't even tempt you anymore. Because when you know your worth, chaos isn't attractive, it's exhausting. And the moment you stop choosing pain disguised as love, you change your entire reality. There's something about a narcissist's presence that feels like a storm. 1 minute it's calm, too calm. The next, chaos. You never know where you stand. One day you're the center of their world, the next you're invisible. It's confusing, exhausting, and it chips away at your sense of reality. But here's the thing nobody tells you until you've lived it. Their chaos wasn't just about them. It was about you. It was a mirror. A disruption, a wake-up call, because sometimes the only way life can get your attention is to shake the ground you're standing on. The chaos wasn't punishment. It was the universe saying, hey, something here needs to change. Not just in your circumstances, but in you. Because before the narcissist entered your life, there were already parts of you screaming for attention. The part that settled for less, the part that struggled with boundaries, the part that confused being needed with being loved. You might have looked functional on the outside, career, friends, routine, but deep inside there was something unhealed, something forgotten, something disconnected from your power. Enter the narcissist. They don't just walk into your life, they crash into it. And when they do, they don't bring calm, they bring tests. Pressure, emotional roller coasters that force you to choose. Are you going to keep abandoning yourself, or are you finally going to come home? That's what the chaos was, a push. It was meant to break the pattern of silence you learned growing up, to break the habit of staying quiet, to keep others comfortable, to challenge the belief that love requires suffering, to stop you in your tracks and say, this is what it looks like when you don't listen to your intuition. That internal screaming you felt every time something didn't sit right, that was the real you, trying to be heard over the noise. You kept trying to fix the relationship, fix them, fix yourself, when what really needed fixing was the story you believed about your own worth. Because you weren't just tolerating chaos, you were adapting to it. You were becoming smaller, quieter, more accommodating just to keep the peace. But that peace, it was fake. And your body knew it. That anxiety, that knot in your stomach, that chronic overthinking, all signs that your nervous system was begging you to get out of survival mode. But sometimes we need a storm to shake us awake, to tear down the illusion, to expose the places in us that still need to rise. And here's the truth most people won't say out loud. If the narcissist had been calm, kind, and consistent, you would have stayed. Maybe not forever, but long enough to keep betraying yourself. The chaos forced your hand. It made the dysfunction too loud to ignore. It peeled back the layers you spent years building around your pain and said, look, you can't pretend anymore. And in that unraveling, you found your strength. Not all at once, not cleanly, but piece by piece. Because waking up isn't pretty. It's not a light switch. It's a breakdown. And that breakdown, it clears the path for you to finally choose different, to stop living on autopilot, to stop mistaking intensity for love, to stop waiting for someone to save you, and instead become the person who saves yourself. That's what the chaos was really for, not to destroy you, but to rebuild you, to awaken the part of you that knows what you deserve and won't settle for anything less again. When things fall apart, our first instinct is to ask, what did I do wrong? We treat pain like a punishment, like it's something we earned, like the universe is mad at us, or we're broken, or we missed some crucial step on the path to happiness. But what if I told you that pain isn't personal, it's directional? What if I told you that every single moment of heartbreak, betrayal, and confusion was less of a curse and more of a redirection? Because here's what we miss in the middle of the wreckage. When something or someone breaks you down to your knees, it's often because you've been standing in the wrong place for too long. The job you hate, the relationship that drains you, the patterns that wear you out, they become comfortable prisons. You settle, you make excuses, you say it's not that bad. And the universe, life, God, whatever you believe in, looks at you and says, okay, I tried whispers, I tried signs. Now I've got to flip the whole damn table. That's what the pain was. It wasn't punishment. It was a pivot. Especially when it comes to narcissistic relationships, you weren't placed in that dynamic because you were weak. You weren't targeted because you're broken. You were there because there was something inside of you that had to be revealed. Something you were never going to find while living safe and small. The narcissist's presence in your life forced your shadow into the light. All the people-pleasing, the fear of being alone, the habit of overgiving, the silence you kept to avoid conflict, it all came to the surface. Why? Because it needed to be seen before it could be healed. You wouldn't have left if it didn't hurt. That's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. If it had been just tolerable enough, just smooth enough, you would have stayed. You would have kept bending, kept trying, kept betraying yourself in the name of love. But the pain made it impossible to lie to yourself anymore. It made your spirit louder than your excuses. And that's what makes it a redirection, not just away from them, but back to you. It's not just about getting out of a toxic relationship. It's about waking up to every part of your life. where you've been living asleep. It's about realizing how long you've been disconnected from your voice, your power, your truth. The pain didn't show up to break you. It showed up to break the illusion that you had to earn love, that you had to be perfect to be worthy, that self-sacrifice was a virtue, that shrinking yourself was noble. When everything fell apart, it gave you something nothing else could. Clarity. Clarity about what you want, what you won't tolerate, what love is supposed to feel like. It stripped away the noise. And yeah, it left you raw, exposed, maybe even alone. But in that emptiness, there's truth. There's space to rebuild from intention instead of trauma. There's space to stop running on old programming and start creating a new story. The pain wasn't the end. It was the invitation. It was the sacred moment where life said, this is not who you are. This is not where your story ends. Get up. And maybe you didn't feel strong. Maybe you didn't get up right away. That's okay. Because healing doesn't ask for perfection. It asks for presence, for honesty, for willingness. And if you're even reading this, if you're here right now, that means you answered the call. There's a moment. Maybe it hits you in the middle of an argument. Maybe after they've given you the silent treatment for the 100th time. Or maybe when you're crying on the bathroom floor again, asking yourself how you got here. That moment when something inside of you whispers, this can't be it. That voice, because for so long, you've been living in a story where you're the one who needs fixing, where you've convinced yourself that if you just love harder, try harder, stay quieter, you can finally get the validation you've been begging for. But that version of you, that's not the real you. That's the trained you, the conditioned you, the survival mode you. And here's what no one told you. You're not here to be a permanent character in someone else's emotional circus. You're not here to absorb their pain, to regulate their moods, to constantly shrink just to make room for someone who refuses to grow. You're here to break the damn pattern. You've spent enough time playing the role of the peacekeeper, the fixer, the one who holds it all together while falling apart behind closed doors. And while everyone else may have gotten used to your silence, your compliance, your ability to endure, something inside of you is waking up. Because you weren't born to be a victim. You were born to be a breaker, a chain breaker, a cycle disruptor, the one who stops the generational trauma from continuing, the one who says, not with me, not anymore. And no, it's not fair that this job landed on your shoulder. It's not fair that you had to experience betrayal, manipulation, gaslighting, abandonment, all to realize your worth. But the truth is, you were chosen for this because you can handle it. You were placed in this dynamic not to lose yourself, but to find yourself. Not to suffer endlessly, but to become someone who refuses to settle for survival when they were made for more. And the moment you started questioning the dysfunction, that was the moment everything started shifting. Because healing doesn't start with a breakthrough, it starts with a breakdown. It starts with the day you stop pretending. The day you get so uncomfortable with your own numbness that you can't ignore it anymore. The day you say, this is costing me too much. And when you reach that point, you stop waiting for the apology. You stop hoping they'll change. You stop putting your life on hold for someone who only shows up when it benefits them. You start reclaiming every part of yourself you once gave away out of fear. And that reclamation, that's where the magic lives. When you go from asking, why don't they love me, to declaring, why did I ever think I had to earn love? You change the game. You stop attracting people who feed off your insecurities and start drawing in the ones who meet you at your healed level. You stop mistaking red flags for intensity and start recognizing that peace is not boring. It's powerful. You speak up, not out of rage, but out of self-respect. You choose yourself not as a last resort, but as a non-negotiable. And guess what? That scares people who benefited from your silence. But you don't owe them comfort. You owe yourself freedom. You're not broken. You were never broken. You were conditioned to believe you had to earn your place. But now you know better. Now you remember who you are. And once you do that, once you truly own it, there's no going back. You become the one who ends it, who heals it, who redefines what love looks like for everyone who comes after you. And that's not just powerful, that's revolutionary.
Life rewards those who are willing to push beyond their limits. It does not hand out success freely. It does not favor the lazy. It does not cater to those who merely wish and hope. Life bows to those who are relentless, those who work tirelessly and refuse to be distracted by the noise of the world. In a time where distractions are endless and everyone is chasing something, how do you ensure you are chasing what truly matters? How do you ensure that your energy, your time, your effort, everything that you pour into your days actually leads you to the life you desire? Hard work alone is not enough. You can work 18 hours a day, but if your focus is scattered, if your energy is spent on the meaningless, you will remain stuck in place, watching others pass you by. This is why you must work hard and focus on what really matters. Because when you combine effort with precision, when you align your grind with purpose, that is when the impossible becomes possible. Hard work is often seen as the key to success, but what most people fail to realize is that effort alone is not enough. People can spend countless hours working, grinding, and pushing themselves, yet still find themselves stuck in the same place. The reason? They mistake motion for progress. They believe that being busy equates to being productive. But the truth is, movement without direction is just wasted energy. It is like running on a treadmill. No matter how fast or how long you run, you will never actually go anywhere. So many people fall into this trap. They start their day checking emails, responding to messages, handling small tasks, jumping from one thing to another. And by the end of the day, they feel exhausted. They feel as though they have done a lot, but when they take a step back and analyze their progress, they realize that they are no closer to their goals than they were yesterday. This is because they have spent their time on things that kept them busy rather than on things that truly mattered. The difference between motion and progress lies in intentionality. Motion is action without a clear goal, while progress is action with a purpose. Motion gives the illusion of accomplishment, but progress is what actually leads to results. Imagine a person who wants to start a business. Instead of focusing on actually launching their product, they spend months designing the perfect logo, fine-tuning their website, and watching countless business tutorials without taking any real action. They feel productive because they are doing something, but in reality, they are just moving in circles without making real progress. One of the biggest reasons people stay stuck in motion is because it feels safe. Motion allows people to convince themselves that they are working toward their dreams without facing the fear of failure. If they keep preparing, keep planning, keep learning, they never have to take that scary first step that could lead to rejection or mistakes. But progress requires risk. It requires stepping outside of comfort zones, making bold moves, and taking imperfect action. To truly move forward in life, one must learn to separate meaningful work from busy work. It is not about how much you do, it is about what you do. A person can work 16 hours a day, but if they are focused on the wrong things, their efforts will amount to nothing. On the other hand, someone who works with laser focus for just a few hours a day, prioritizing tasks that create real results, will see more progress in a month than others do in a year. This is why clarity is essential. Without a clear vision, it is easy to fall into the trap of endless movement without direction. When you do not know exactly what you are working toward, you become reactive instead of proactive. You spend your time responding to demands, chasing distractions, and following whatever comes your way instead of strategically working toward your goals. Clarity allows you to differentiate between what is truly important and what is simply keeping you occupied. Time is the most valuable resource you have. Unlike money, which can be earned back, or possessions which can be replaced, time, once spent, is gone forever. That is why it is critical to be intentional about how you use it. Every moment wasted on things that do not contribute to your growth is a moment lost forever. The key to success is not working harder, but working smarter. It is about ensuring that every ounce of effort you put in is directed towards something that truly moves you forward. One of the most effective ways to avoid the trap of meaningless motion is to set clear, measurable goals. When you know exactly what you are trying to achieve, you can filter out distractions and focus on what truly matters. Instead of mindlessly checking tasks off a to-do list, you begin to prioritize actions that bring you closer to your desired outcome. A good way to do this is by asking yourself, is what I'm doing right now bringing me closer to my goal? If the answer is no, it is time to realign your focus. Another important aspect of making real progress is learning to say no. Many people feel the need to say yes to every request, every opportunity, and every demand placed upon them. But not everything deserves your attention. Not every opportunity aligns with your vision. Successful people understand that saying no to the unimportant is saying yes to what truly matters. They guard their time fiercely and do not allow themselves to be pulled into activities that do not contribute to their success. Focusing on progress over motion also requires the discipline to measure results. If you are not tracking your growth, you will never know if you are truly moving forward or just running in place. This is why successful people constantly evaluate their performance. They analyze what is working and what is not, and they make adjustments accordingly. They do not just work for the sake of working. They work with purpose and precision. At the end of the day, the difference between success and failure often comes down to this one principle. Are you just moving? Or are you actually making progress? Success is never handed out freely. It demands something in return, and that price is sacrifice. Every great achievement, every breakthrough, every moment of glory comes at a cost. Those who rise above the rest understand that to gain something extraordinary, they must be willing to let go of the ordinary. They must give up comfort, distractions, and even parts of themselves that no longer serve their higher purpose. The journey to greatness is not a smooth, easy road. It is paved with discipline, relentless effort, and the willingness to pay the price that most people refuse to pay. Many people desire success, but few are willing to make the necessary sacrifices. They want wealth, but are unwilling to put in the long hours of learning, taking risks, and making tough decisions. They want a strong and healthy body, but are unwilling to commit to a strict diet and consistent exercise. They want mastery in their craft, but hesitate to invest time in deliberate practice. This is why so many dreams remain unfulfilled, because the desire for success is not enough. It is the willingness to give up temporary pleasures for long-term rewards that separates the great from the average. Sacrifice often begins with time. The most valuable asset anyone has is time, and how it is used determines the trajectory of life. Those who achieve greatness do not waste their days on meaningless entertainment, unnecessary distractions, or mindless scrolling. They understand that every second spent on something unimportant is a second stolen from their goals. They choose discipline over entertainment, focus over distractions, and productivity over leisure. This does not mean they never rest, but their rest is intentional, not an escape from responsibility. Comfort is another major obstacle that must be sacrificed on the path to greatness. Comfort feels good, but it is also the enemy of growth. The moment someone becomes too comfortable, they stop pushing themselves. Growth happens in discomfort, in the struggle, in the moments of doubt and difficulty. The most successful individuals in any field did not get there by staying in their comfort zones. They put themselves in challenging situations, faced failures, embraced uncertainty, and pushed their limits, even when it was painful. They understood that if they wanted to become better, they had to endure discomfort over and over again. Relationships are also an area where sacrifice is often required. Not everyone is meant to walk the journey to success with you. Some people drain energy, bring negativity, or hold you back from reaching your full potential. Many struggle with letting go of friendships or relationships that no longer serve their growth. But those who truly want to succeed must make difficult choices. They surround themselves with people who challenge them, inspire them, and push them to become better. They let go of toxic influences, negative mindsets, and anything that stands in the way of their progress. Perhaps one of the most difficult sacrifices is giving up immediate gratification. Most people want quick results. They want success now, wealth now, happiness now. But the greatest rewards in life do not come instantly. They require patience, persistence, and long-term commitment. The most successful individuals understand that small, consistent actions today lead to massive rewards in the future. They sacrifice the urge for quick wins and instead commit to the slow, steady path of mastery. They are willing to wait, to work, to grind, even when the results are not immediately visible. Fear is another thing that must be sacrificed on the road to greatness. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of rejection. These are the chains that hold people back from taking action. Most people let fear dictate their choices. They hesitate, they doubt themselves, and they stay where it feels safe. But those who achieve greatness do the opposite. They sacrifice their fears. By facing them head on, they take risks. They embrace failure as a learning tool. And they refuse to let the opinions of others dictate their future. They understand that growth comes from stepping into the unknown and pushing past their limitations. Even personal identity must sometimes be sacrificed. Many people define themselves by their past experiences, their struggles, or their limitations. They hold on to old versions of themselves, afraid to change, afraid to evolve. But success demands transformation. It requires becoming a new, stronger, wiser version of oneself. Those who truly want to succeed must be willing to let go of old habits, limiting beliefs, and outdated identities. They must reinvent themselves as the person who is capable of achieving their dreams. The reality is that sacrifice is not about loss. It is about trading temporary pleasure for long-term fulfillment, trading comfort for growth, trading distractions for focus. It is about understanding that the price of greatness is not something to fear, but something to embrace. Those who are willing to make the necessary sacrifices are the ones who achieve the extraordinary. In a world full of distractions, the ability to focus is one of the most valuable skills a person can develop. Success is not just about talent or hard work. It is about the ability to direct one's energy toward what truly matters without being pulled away by meaningless diversions. Most people struggle to focus because they live in an environment that constantly demands their attention. Their phones buzz with notifications, emails flood their inboxes, social media feeds are designed to keep them scrolling endlessly, and entertainment is always just a click away. It is easier than ever to be busy, yet accomplish nothing of real significance. The reason focus is so powerful is that it acts as a multiplier. A person who works with intense focus for a few hours can achieve more than someone who works distracted for an entire day. Focus allows people to work smarter, not just harder. It ensures that the energy they put in translates into meaningful results rather than wasted effort. But focus does not come naturally. It requires discipline, self-awareness, and the ability to say no to everything that does not align with one's highest priorities. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with focus is because they do not have a clear vision. When someone is unclear about their goals, they become easily distracted by things that seem important in the moment, but do not contribute to their long-term success. Without a strong sense of direction, it is easy to be pulled into every small task, every new idea, and every opportunity that comes along, even if it is not the right one. People who are focused know exactly what they want, and because of that clarity, they do not waste time on anything that does not move them closer to their goals. The ability to focus is not just about avoiding distractions, it is about training the mind to stay locked in on a single task without constantly shifting gears. Many people believe they are good at multitasking, but research has proven that multitasking is a myth. The brain cannot effectively focus on multiple things at once. Instead, it rapidly switches between tasks, reducing efficiency and increasing mental fatigue. People who achieve great things do not try to do everything at once. They dedicate their full attention to one thing at a time, completing it with excellence before moving on to the next. Another critical aspect of focus is learning how to eliminate unnecessary distractions. The environment a person surrounds themselves with has a direct impact on their ability to concentrate. If someone constantly has their phone within reach, they will be tempted to check it. If they work in a noisy or chaotic space, their mind will struggle to stay engaged. Successful individuals design their environment in a way that supports deep work. They remove unnecessary distractions, set clear boundaries, and create an atmosphere that encourages focus. One of the greatest enemies of focus is the addiction to instant gratification. Most distractions exist because they provide quick pleasure. Social media, entertainment, and constant notifications all give small bursts of dopamine, making them highly addictive. But true success requires the ability to delay gratification. It demands the discipline to resist short-term pleasure in favor of long-term rewards. This is why focused individuals set strict rules for themselves. They limit their exposure to distractions, schedule deep work sessions, and train their minds to stay engaged even when things get difficult. Focus is not just about external distractions, it is also about mastering internal distractions. The human mind is constantly bombarded with thoughts, worries, and doubts. Many people struggle to focus because their minds are filled with unnecessary mental noise. They think about past mistakes, worry about the future, or let self-doubt creep in. The most successful people learn to quiet their minds. They develop mental discipline through practices like meditation, visualization, and mindfulness. They train themselves to stay present in the moment, fully engaged in whatever they are doing without letting their thoughts wander aimlessly. A focused person also understands the importance of saying no. Every opportunity, every commitment, and every invitation takes up time and energy. People who lack focus say yes to everything, spreading themselves too thin and leaving little room for what truly matters. But those who are truly committed to their goals have no problem turning down anything that does not align with their mission. They value their time, protect their energy, and refuse to be pulled in 100 different directions. At the core of focus is consistency. It is not enough to be focused for a day or a week. Real success comes from sustained long-term focus over months and years. This requires setting habits that reinforce focus daily. It means developing routines, setting clear goals, and holding oneself accountable. Focused individuals do not rely on motivation alone. They create systems that make focus a way of life. They understand that every moment spent in deep, meaningful work compounds over time, leading them closer to their dreams. Motivation is often seen as the fuel for success, but the truth is that motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes, fluctuating with emotions, circumstances, and external factors. There are days when a person wakes up feeling inspired, driven, and ready to take on the world. But there are also days when that energy disappears completely. Relying on motivation alone creates inconsistency, and inconsistency is the enemy of progress. This is why discipline is far more powerful than motivation. Discipline ensures that action is taken regardless of how one feels, making it the true foundation of long-term success. Successful people do not wait to feel motivated before they take action. They operate based on commitment rather than feelings. They wake up and put in the work even when they do not feel like it. They show up consistently not because they are always inspired, but because they have built the habit of discipline. This is what separates those who achieve great things from those who struggle to make progress. The disciplined individual understands that emotions are temporary, but the results of their actions are permanent. They know that every step forward, no matter how small, compounds over time and leads to massive achievements. One of the key reasons discipline is superior to motivation is that it creates momentum. When a person only works when they feel inspired, their progress is unpredictable. They move forward in bursts, followed by periods of inactivity. But when discipline is in place, action becomes a daily habit. Even on difficult days, progress continues. And over time, that consistency builds unstoppable momentum. Small efforts repeated daily are far more powerful than occasional bursts of motivation. The best athletes, entrepreneurs, and leaders are not the ones who feel motivated every day. They are the ones who have trained themselves to perform at a high level regardless of how they feel. Discipline is also what builds resilience. Challenges, setbacks, and failures are an inevitable part of any journey. When a person relies on motivation, they are likely to give up when things get tough, when progress slows down, when obstacles appear, when things do not go as planned. Motivation often disappears, but discipline keeps a person going even in the face of adversity. It pushes them forward when every part of them wants to quit. The strongest individuals are not the ones who never struggle. They are the ones who keep moving forward despite their struggles. They embrace discomfort, knowing that success is not about how they feel in the moment, but about the long-term results of their actions. Building discipline is not about relying on willpower alone. Willpower fades, just like motivation. True discipline is built through habits, routines, and systems that make success automatic. The most disciplined people do not leave their progress up to chance. They create environments that make it easier to stay on track. They structure their days in a way that eliminates distractions, minimizes temptation, and reinforces positive behavior. They set clear goals, track their progress, and hold themselves accountable. They do not wait until they feel like doing something. They create a system that ensures they do it regardless of how they feel. Another powerful aspect of discipline is that it rewires the brain. When a person consistently takes action, even when they do not feel like it, their mind begins to adapt. What once felt difficult becomes second nature. The body and mind adjust to the routine. And over time, discipline transforms into identity. The person no longer sees themselves as someone who struggles to stay consistent. They become someone who naturally follows through on their commitments. Discipline, when practiced long enough, becomes effortless. It turns into a way of life rather than something that requires constant effort. Many people make the mistake of waiting for the right moment to start. They tell themselves they will begin when they feel more motivated, when circumstances are better, when life is less stressful. But waiting is a trap. The right moment never arrives because there will always be challenges, distractions, and obstacles. The most successful people understand that the best time to start is now. They do not wait for perfect conditions. They take action despite the imperfections. They know that discipline is built through doing, not through waiting. The more they practice showing up every day, the stronger their discipline becomes. Another major reason discipline leads to success is that it removes decision fatigue. When a person is disciplined, they do not waste energy debating whether or not to take action. They have already decided in advance that they will do the work no matter what. This eliminates hesitation, reduces mental exhaustion, and frees up energy for more important things. The less time spent negotiating with oneself, the more time and energy can be directed toward meaningful progress. This is why disciplined individuals often seem more productive. They are not constantly battling with themselves over whether or not to take action. They simply do what needs to be done. Success is never an accident. It is the result of clarity, direction, and knowing exactly where to focus one's energy. Many people struggle in life not because they lack potential, but because they lack a clear goal. They drift from one thing to another, constantly changing their direction, chasing distractions, and wondering why they never make progress. Without a clear vision, energy is scattered, motivation fades quickly, and frustration sets in. But those who achieve great things understand the power of having a specific goal. They know exactly what they want, why they want it, and how they will achieve it. A clear goal acts like a roadmap. It provides direction, helping to eliminate confusion and uncertainty. When someone knows where they are going, decisions become easier. They do not waste time on things that do not contribute to their success. Every action, every effort, and every choice is aligned with their ultimate objective. This sense of purpose creates focus and prevents distractions from taking over. People who lack a clear goal often find themselves overwhelmed, trying to do too many things at once and making little progress in any area. But those with a defined goal have a laser-like focus that allows them to move forward with confidence. One of the biggest mistakes people make is setting vague goals. They say they want to be successful, happy, or wealthy, but they have no specific definition of what that means. Without clarity, these goals remain nothing more than wishes. Successful individuals, on the other hand, set clear and measurable goals. They do not just say they want to be wealthy, they define exactly how much money they want to earn, by when, and how they plan to achieve it. They do not just say they want to be healthy, they create a specific plan for their fitness and nutrition. The more specific a goal is, the more achievable it becomes. Another reason a clear goal is powerful is that it creates accountability. When a goal is vague, there is no real pressure to take action, but when a goal is clearly defined, there is no room for excuses. A person either makes progress or does not. This level of accountability forces action. It creates urgency and pushes a person to stay committed even when motivation is low. It also allows for tracking progress. Without a clear goal, it is impossible to measure growth. But when a goal is specific, it becomes easy to see what is working, what needs improvement, and what adjustments need to be made along the way. A well-defined goal also fuels persistence. The journey to success is never smooth. There will be obstacles, failures, and moments of doubt. Many people give up when things get tough because they lose sight of their goal. They forget why they started, and their motivation fades. But those with a clear goal stay committed no matter how difficult things become. They have a strong reason behind their actions, and that reason keeps them going. When challenges arise, they understand that setbacks are temporary, but their goal is worth the struggle. Having a clear goal also strengthens decision-making. Every day, a person faces countless choices. Some decisions move them closer to their goal, while others pull them further away. Without a clear goal, it is easy to make impulsive decisions that feel good in the moment, but do not contribute to long-term success. But when a goal is well defined, every decision is filtered through that lens, it becomes easier to say no to distractions, to avoid time-wasting activities, and to prioritize what truly matters. Every action becomes intentional, leading to faster and more consistent progress. Another key advantage of having a clear goal is that it attracts the right opportunities. When a person is clear about what they want, they start recognizing opportunities that align with their vision. Their mind becomes more focused on finding ways to achieve their goal. They connect with the right people, find the right resources, and take advantage of situations that others might overlook. Success is not just about working hard. It is about working smart and putting effort into the right things. A clear goal ensures that effort is directed toward the most effective actions rather than wasted on unimportant tasks. A strong goal also builds confidence. When a person has a clear vision, they believe in themselves more. They develop a strong sense of purpose, which fuels their self-discipline and determination. Every small step they take toward their goal reinforces their belief that they are capable of achieving great things. Confidence grows with progress. And progress comes from having a clear direction. Without a goal, doubt and hesitation take over. But with a well-defined objective, a person moves forward with certainty, knowing that each step brings them closer to success. Every day presents a series of choices, and the quality of those choices determines the direction of a person's life. Some choices seem small and insignificant, but over time they add up to shape success or failure. People who achieve great things understand the importance of making the right decisions, even in the smallest details. They recognize that every action they take either moves them closer to their goals or pulls them further away. This understanding creates a mindset of responsibility where they take full ownership of their lives instead of blaming circumstances, luck, or other people. Taking responsibility means accepting that where one is in life is a direct result of past decisions. It is easy to make excuses, to blame external factors, or to look for reasons why things are not working out. But those who take full responsibility understand that success is in their hands. They do not wait for the perfect opportunity, they create it. They do not complain about challenges, they find ways to overcome them. This shift in mindset is powerful because it removes the victim mentality and replaces it with control. When a person believes they are in control of their future, they start making better choices that align with their vision. A major part of taking responsibility is developing self-discipline. Many people have dreams, but few have the discipline to follow through consistently. They start with excitement but lose focus when things get difficult. They allow distractions, procrastination, and bad habits to take over. Those who take responsibility do not let temporary feelings dictate their actions. They follow their schedule, stick to their commitments, and push forward even when motivation fades. They understand that success is not about what they feel like doing. It is about what needs to be done regardless of circumstances. Personal responsibility also requires being honest about weaknesses and areas that need improvement. It is easy to ignore flaws, to pretend they do not exist, or to blame others when things go wrong. But real growth happens when a person acknowledges where they are falling short and takes action to improve. This means being willing to learn, adapt, and make changes where necessary. It means seeking knowledge, developing new skills, and constantly striving to be better. People who take responsibility never see themselves as victims of their circumstances. They see themselves as creators of their destiny. Another critical part of taking responsibility is managing time effectively. Time is the most valuable resource, and once it is wasted, it can never be regained. Many people spend their days reacting to situations instead of planning and prioritizing. They allow distractions, unnecessary commitments, and unproductive habits to consume their time. But those who take responsibility understand that every minute counts. They plan their days, set clear priorities, and ensure that their time is spent on things that truly matter. They do not waste hours on meaningless entertainment or social media. They use their time wisely to invest in their goals, relationships, and personal growth. Success is also about taking responsibility for the energy and mindset a person brings to each day. A negative attitude, fear, and self-doubt can hold a person back more than any external obstacle. People who take full responsibility work on their mindset daily. They guard their thoughts, focus on solutions instead of problems, and cultivate a strong belief in their abilities. They surround themselves with positive influences, read books that expand their knowledge, and stay away from negativity. They do not let circumstances dictate their mood or productivity. They take charge of their emotions and stay committed to their vision. Taking responsibility also means understanding that failure is a part of the journey. Many people fear failure and avoid taking risks because they do not want to make mistakes. But those who take responsibility see failure differently. They view it as feedback, a lesson that helps them grow. They do not waste time dwelling on past mistakes or feeling sorry for themselves. Instead, they analyze what went wrong, make adjustments, and keep moving forward. They do not let failure define them. They use it as a stepping stone to success. A person who takes responsibility never waits for someone else to solve their problems. They do not expect life to be fair or easy. They accept that challenges will come and they prepare themselves mentally and physically to overcome them. They do not waste time blaming the economy, their upbringing, or their circumstances. Instead, they focus on what they can control and take action. They know that success is not given. It is earned through hard work, smart decisions, and persistence. Taking responsibility is what separates those who achieve great things from those who remain stuck in the same place year after year. This journey will not be easy. There will be setbacks. There will be failures. There will be moments when you question everything. But remember this, nothing worth having ever comes easy. The struggle, the grind, the sacrifices, they are all part of the process. Stay focused. Work hard, cut out the noise, and never lose sight of what truly matters. Because the ones who refuse to quit, the ones who stay disciplined, the ones who stay focused, those are the ones who win. And you have everything it takes. Now go out and prove it.